Yes.
Are we on?
Yes, you're on.
Hey everyone, this is our new hurricane house. Our other hurricane house is actually right there. So this is number 31. This is unit 31.
It's actually, 30, 31.
Yeah. So you come in. We have a lovely upstairs and downstairs right here. Look at this pretty little decoration. Beautiful.
I won't tell you where they came from.
This is like
Christine Woolley. Yes, that's Christine Brown from Sister Wives. Though we're still piecing together the official timeline of her departure from that world. But here's what we know for certain. She's absolutely thriving, and the numbers don't lie. While most of us are still figuring out our next career move, Christine is building what can only be described as a rental empire, one strategic property purchase at a time. In just 2 short years, she's managed to acquire not 1, not 2, but 3 Airbnb rental properties. And here's where the story gets really interesting. Her latest acquisition isn't just anywhere. It's positioned right across the street from another rental property that was purchased under David's name just this past March. Think about that for a moment. Christine and David have essentially created their own little vacation rental neighborhood in Hurricane, Utah. Now, Hurricane might not sound like the most glamorous location, but here's the genius behind their strategy. This charming Utah town sits perfectly positioned near some of America's most breathtaking national parks. We're talking about prime real estate in an area where travelers and vacation goers are constantly flowing through, wallets in hand, searching for that perfect place to stay while they explore the natural wonders that surround them. It's the kind of location where vacation rental income isn't just possible, it's practically guaranteed. But the real story here isn't just about smart real estate investments. It's about transformation, about a woman reclaiming her power and her financial independence. During this most recent season, her son Peyton made a comment that cut straight to the heart of what Christine's journey has really been about. He reflected on how his mother might not have even known if she truly wanted to pursue these rental investments before. But now that she has the freedom to choose, she's seizing every opportunity that comes her way. You see, before Christine walked away from Kody and that entire Sister Wives lifestyle, her world was dramatically different. Every decision, every financial move, every dream she might have had, it all had to go through this complex web of group consensus. Imagine having to justify and negotiate every single choice you wanted to make for your own future. Kody held the reins when it came to money decisions, and while Christine had some control over her immediate family's finances, the bigger picture, the real wealth-building opportunities, those were off limits. Now, with David by her side, everything has changed. She's operating with what you might call complete creative and financial freedom. No committees, no lengthy discussions, no asking for permission. When she sees an opportunity, she can simply say yes and make it happen. Whether this rapid expansion into real estate is the smartest financial strategy or not, well, that's still up for debate. But what's undeniable is that Christine is finally living life on her own terms. And she's not keeping quiet about her success either. Recently, she took to Instagram to show off her latest rental property acquisition, giving her followers a behind-the-scenes look at this new chapter of her life. It's like watching someone who spent years in the shadows finally step into the spotlight and own every single moment of it.
This is like where you put pins on this. I'll show you where the pins are in just a minute. You put pins on this to show where you're from. Where you're from. Our home is fun in the sun. So everything in our home has to do with fun in the sun. So check out the bathroom. That's so silly. Look at these little guys. He's wet. He's so cute. And then there's a cute little thing here too. Behind there, it's a little otter.
I mean, it's utterly ridiculous.
Oh my God. All right, this is our kitchen. So the whole kitchen was in.
Here's the fascinating part of Christine and David's story that most people don't understand. They're not just randomly buying properties and hoping for the best. They've discovered something much more sophisticated, a strategy that's equal parts brilliant and risky, depending on how you look at it. What they're actually doing is purchasing individual units within an established resort system. Picture this. Instead of buying a standalone vacation rental and dealing with all the headaches that come with it, they're buying into what's essentially a turnkey operation. The Zion Skyline Resort, nestled perfectly near the majestic Zion National Park, operates like a well-oiled machine where individual owners can purchase units, but the resort itself handles absolutely everything else. And when I say everything, I mean everything. The resort manages all the bookings, handles every single cleaning session, takes care of maintenance issues before they become problems, and even deals with guest complaints in question. Christine and David simply pay a management fee for these services, and it's all seamlessly built into what guests pay when they book. It's like having a property management company, hotel concierge, and maintenance crew all rolled into one. Now let's talk about what they're actually buying into. These aren't your typical cramped vacation rentals. We're talking about sprawling 2,300 square foot townhouses that can somehow accommodate up to 26 guests. Yes, you heard that right, 26 people in one unit. It's like they're packing people in there like sardines, but apparently that's exactly what large family groups and vacation parties are looking for when they want to stay together. But the property itself is just the beginning of what makes this investment so intriguing. The Zion Skyline Resort reads like a vacation destination wishlist. There's a sparkling pool for those hot Utah days, a water slide that probably has kids begging their parents to book another night, a mini golf course for family competition, a fully equipped gym for guests who can't skip their workout routine even on vacation, a game room for rainy days or evening entertainment, an actual drive-in cinema experience that feels like stepping back in time, even pickleball courts. Because apparently that's what everyone's obsessed with these days. They're marketing it as unmatched guest indulgence, and honestly, looking at that amenity list, it's hard to argue with that claim. For someone like Christine, who's admittedly new to the complex world of real estate investment, this approach makes perfect sense. She gets to dip her toes into the rental income waters without having to learn every single aspect of property management overnight. No scrambling to find reliable cleaning services, no dealing with broken air conditioners at 3 in the morning, no managing booking calendars or dealing with difficult guests who leave terrible reviews. The resort handles all of that complexity, allowing her to focus on what she does best, building her brand and enjoying her newfound financial freedom. But here's where the story gets more complicated, because nothing in real estate is ever as simple as it first appears. While this arrangement eliminates many of the traditional headaches of rental property ownership, it also comes with its own unique set of challenges and limitations. Christine and David are paying premium prices for all those management services, which means their profit margins are automatically lower than they would be if they managed everything themselves. They're essentially trading higher profits for peace of mind and convenience. There's also the reality of being locked into a planned unit development agreement. When you purchase within a resort like this, you're not just buying a property, you're buying into a community with rules, restrictions, and ongoing fees that can change over time. There are homeowner association requirements, resort management agreements, and compliance standards that must be maintained. It's like owning your property but not really having complete control over how it's operated. And then there's perhaps the most significant limitation of all. These properties aren't really theirs to use whenever they want. Unlike buying a traditional second home where you can show up any weekend you feel like it, resort-managed units typically come with strict limitations on personal use. Christine and David might only be allowed to use their own properties for a few weeks per year, and even then, those dates might need to be scheduled in advance and approved by the resort management. The rest of the time, these units must remain available for paying guests. But let's step back and look at the bigger financial picture that's developing here, because Christine and David aren't just managing one or two properties. They're building what's starting to look like a small real estate empire, complete with all the financial complexity that entails. They're currently carrying a mortgage on at least one of these hurricane units. David still owns a home that they've been trying to sell for nearly a year, and that property still has its own mortgage hanging over them. Their primary residence in Lehi comes with its own mortgage payments, and then there's that property in Moab that adds another layer to their growing portfolio. What we're witnessing is a classic real estate investment strategy, using leveraged debt to acquire income-producing property. It's the same approach that has created countless real estate millionaires, but it's also the strategy that has led to spectacular financial disasters when market conditions shift unexpectedly. Christine and David are essentially betting that rental income from these properties will not only cover all their mortgage payments, maintenance costs, and management fees, but also generate enough profit to justify the risk of carrying all this debt. Now here's where my own experience in the mortgage and real estate industry during the early 2000s starts flashing warning signals that are impossible to ignore. I lived through that intoxicating period when everyone was buying properties, convinced that real estate values would continue climbing forever. Month after month, we watched people stretch their finances to acquire more and more properties, believing they were building unstoppable wealth. The parallels to today's market are genuinely unsettling. The current combination of sky-high home values, elevated interest rates, and the massive amount of equity that's been built into properties over the past few years creates an environment that feels remarkably similar to that dangerous period right before the 2000s. When I see people aggressively purchasing multiple properties in today's market, especially using leverage and debt to do it. My stomach starts churning with memories of what happened to so many investors when that bubble finally burst. My husband and I learned this lesson the hard way, and it's a financial scar that still influences every real estate decision we consider today. I purchased a home in 2005, right at the height of that market euphoria. And when I finally sold it in 2013, I didn't just break even, I actually had to pay money out of pocket just to complete the sale. My husband's experience was even worse. His townhouse became so underwater on the mortgage that we were looking at potentially decades of payments just to reach a break-even point. The property value had dropped so dramatically that walking away from the mortgage became the only financially rational decision, even though it meant devastating our credit and starting over from scratch. Those experiences have left us incredibly cautious about real estate investments, even though we're in a much stronger financial position now than we were back then. We've been living in the same house for 12 years, and while we could afford to move to something bigger and better, the idea of buying at today's inflated prices terrifies us. We purchased our current home when the market was low, and the thought of selling now and buying into this high-priced market feels like financial Russian roulette. But here's what makes Christine's situation potentially different, and why her strategy might actually work despite all my personal anxiety about today's real estate market. She's not just any investor trying to break into the rental market. She's Christine Brown, a reality television personality with millions of social media followers who hang on her every word and watch her every move. That level of fame and influence becomes a marketing superpower that most real estate investors can only dream of having. When Christine posts about her rental properties on Instagram, she's not just sharing vacation photos, she's marketing directly to millions of potential customers. Every story she shares, every video tour she posts, every mention of her properties generates the kind of exposure that would cost other property owners thousands of dollars in advertising fees. She can create demand for her specific properties in ways that ordinary investors simply cannot match. And then there's the strategic advantage of her location choice. Utah's national parks aren't just popular tourist destinations, they're experiencing unprecedented levels of visitor growth year after year. Zion National Park, Arches, Bryce Canyon, Capitol Reef, these aren't seasonal attractions that only draw crowds during specific months. They're year-round destinations that attract millions of visitors who need places to stay, and many of those visitors are looking for exactly the kind of large group accommodations that Christine's properties provide. The resort management model also provides some protection against the typical risks of vacation rental ownership. When individual property owners are responsible for marketing their rentals, maintaining occupancy rates, and handling all the operational details, there's a much higher risk of failure. But when you're buying into an established resort with professional marketing, centralized booking systems, and proven operational procedures, many of those individual risks are distributed across the entire property portfolio. David's background as a contractor adds another layer of financial protection to their investment strategy. While most property owners have to pay market rates for repairs and maintenance, David can handle many of these issues himself, potentially saving thousands of dollars per year per property. That's the kind of operational advantage that can make the difference between a profitable investment and a financial drain. But even with all these advantages, the fundamental risks of real estate investment remain unchanged. Vacation rental markets are inherently tied to discretionary spending, and when economic downturns hit, vacation travel is typically one of the first expenses that families cut from their budget. If we do experience a recession in the coming years, properties like Christine's could see dramatic drops in occupancy rates, leaving them with mortgage payments, maintenance costs, and management fees that far exceed their rental income. There's also the reality that resort-managed properties often come with escalating fees over time. Management companies, homeowner associations, and resort operators regularly increase their charges, and property owners have limited ability to control these rising costs. What starts as a profitable investment can gradually become a financial burden as fees increase faster than rental rates. The most intriguing aspect of Christine's real estate journey might be the psychological and symbolic elements that go far beyond simple financial calculation. If you remember Kody's grand plans for Coyote Pass, his vision was essentially identical to what Christine is actually executing now. He wanted to develop rental properties, build passive income streams, and establish himself as a real estate mogul. He talked endlessly about creating subdivisions and rental units that would generate long-term wealth for the family. But Kody's dreams remain just that, dreams that never materialized into actual properties or income. Meanwhile, Christine has quietly built exactly the kind of real estate portfolio that Kody always claimed he wanted to create. She's gone from having no control over financial decisions to owning multiple income-producing properties. She's transformed from someone who needed permission for every purchase to someone who can acquire properties across multiple states. The irony is absolutely delicious when you think about it. The woman who was supposedly not capable of making her own financial decisions has now achieved the real estate success that eluded the man who claimed to be the financial mastermind of the family. Christine isn't just building wealth, she's proving that she was never the problem. The system that kept her from making decisions was the problem. Whether there's still some element of competition or proving a point in Christine's choices, we may never know for certain. But the timing and nature of her real estate investments do seem to echo those old conversations about building rental income and property portfolios. Sometimes the best revenge isn't just living well, it's achieving the dreams that someone else convinced you were impossible. Looking ahead, Christine appears to be planning even more expansion. Reports suggest she's considering using income from her book sales to fund additional property purchases. If that's true, we could be watching the early stages of a genuine real estate empire, built one strategic acquisition at a time. The question that remains is whether Christine and David can maintain this momentum while managing the financial risks that come with rapid expansion in a volatile market. They're betting that their combination of strategic location, professional management, celebrity marketing power, and David's construction expertise will continue generating returns that justify their growing debt load. For now, Christine is definitely winning in the short term. She's generating multiple income streams, building wealth through property appreciation, and doing it all while living life completely on her own terms. Whether this strategy will continue paying off in the long term remains to be seen, but there's no denying that she's transformed her financial situation in ways that seemed impossible just a few years ago. The real question isn't whether Christine made smart investments, it's whether she can sustain this level of growth and debt management if market conditions change dramatically. Time will tell if she's building lasting wealth or setting herself up for the same kind of financial challenges that devastated so many real estate investors. And what we do know for certain is that Christine Brown has gone from asking permission for basic financial decisions to making multi-property investments that would impress seasoned real estate professionals. That transformation alone is a success story worth watching, regardless of how the numbers ultimately work out.